Welcome to fsharpConf. It's a great pleasure to be here in the Channel 9 studios, running another instance of fsharpConf after 2 years and 1 month, roughly. And we don't have Seth Juarez with us this time, so we had to replace him with 4 other people to make up for that. But we'll have Philip from the F-Sharp team, Ino, who will introduce himself shortly, Lina, who you have seen in the previous fsharpConf, and Will, who's now on the F-Sharp team as well. And remotely, we have Don joining us from London. So I'll start by chatting with. No, let's just start by asking everyone, how do you feel about fsharpConf? Philip.
Hi, I'm really excited about fsharpConf, especially since I'm just surrounded by a bunch of goofballs here. And no, seriously, there's a really cool lineup of talks. I had the pleasure of seeing a few of them at F-Sharp Exchange, but there's a bunch here that I have not seen before, and so I'm really excited to take a look.
And our surprise guest, Ina?
Yeah, my name is Imo. Apparently I lent my pretty face to F-Sharp on slides. That's why I'm here, I think. Because Philip picked me on Friday and said, you have to be here at 8, so I was, but
he really loves F-Sharp Alfonso.
Oh yeah. NEF apparently.
So Ino is featured in a recent talk at F-Sharp Exchange, and we just thought we'd invite him because we love him, and we'll see if he loves F-Sharp really. But
I have nothing against F-Sharp. I've used it twice, I think.
Well then, hopefully the talks will convince you to use it some more.
Oh yeah, we'll see.
And Lina?
Yeah, I am actually super excited about fsharpConf. I'm excited because it gives people who can't just come to the studio, give them an opportunity to give a talk and share it with the rest of the world. And I think this year we have an amazing lineup.
That's true. And I think this year, so Don, can we pretend you're in Australia? Sort of. I think I can't hear you. Yeah, can hear you now. All good.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I'm definitely in London.
Well, if we just for a minute pretended that Don is in Australia, then we'll have speakers from all continents.
Well, that's why we couldn't hear him earlier, because of the internet.
Yeah. The kangaroos didn't bring it in. All right, Will.
Yeah, so
dragged you in.
Yeah. So I'm super excited for fsharpConf. I actually get a chance to see all the talks by our lineup, which is fantastic, and I'm also excited to do the Q&A at the end of it.
We'll see Will later on, and you'll be showing some foom as well. That's right.
Yeah.
And what do you think?
Well, I'm European, so I can't get super excited, but I'm as close to that as I can. So
It's
we will push your boundaries.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Could be worse. All right, Don. So thanks for joining us. And where are you right now?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, that's great. I'm here in London. I'm at Code Node, which is run by Skills Matter here in the east of London, near the city of London. And I chose to give my short segment or short chat from here, partly because this is where we had F-Sharp Exchange just a week ago. And I think it was a wonderful event, but one of the really great things about the F-Sharp community is that we have both these in-person events, we have our meetups, we have F-Sharp Exchange here at Skills Matter, we have also Open F-Sharp in San Francisco, but we also have this fantastic online presence and this sort of virtual conference that we put together with fsharpConf. And my hope is that through fsharpConf, we can really be a worldwide community and get an opportunity for all sorts of different voices in the community to be presenting and presenting their material and also sharing in the various ways that we do that, whether it's on Slack or Twitter or GitHub or all the other ways that we share and communicate as a community.
Sounds good. Should we go a bit through the talks that people will see in a second? I'll try to do a split screen here and open fsharpConf page, and I'll make you a bit bigger in the corner. All right. So what do we have coming up? See how good I'm at Skype. Cool. So the first talk, Don, do you want to tell us something about some of the talks, and I'll fill in the rest?
Well, I haven't seen some of these talks. I'm looking forward to seeing them. I was super impressed by the book on web programming done by Tamiz Vendan. It's one of these moments in the F# community when someone you haven't met before and someone who's from a country you haven't been to it comes out with a really top quality material in an area where F# needed to improve. One of the great things that's happened in F# over the last few years is just the immense improvement in the web and mobile, both server-side and client-side web programming story around F#. And a lot of that has been driven by the community finding its voice about the right way to use F#, the right way to combine F# with technologies like ASP.NET Core, and also some homegrown server-side technologies as well. And so I think a lot of, looking down the list, we see the talk on comparing some of the web programming technologies with Freya and Suave. And we see on the client side, we have an interview about Fable as well.
I should add that the talk that Hin is doing at 9:45 was really amazing to watch the developments on Twitter, because all the people contributing to the libraries started based on what she was doing in the comparison, improving the documentation and improving the libraries. So I sort of thought next time we do this, we should just do comparisons of libraries, and then everyone will fix their library.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So one of the things I'd really like. Now, Jen's talk is about comparing technologies, and I think it's very important that not be a static conversation, that we allow, as a community, these technologies to respond to feedback and to grow and become better and address all sorts of potential, improve. It's a conversation about improving the technologies, and that we as a community should be open to the fact that these technologies really do improve in all sorts of ways through talking about them, comparing them, and making and stealing ideas and making things better from the different technologies.
Right. So let's just run quickly through the rest of what we have here. We'll chat with Alfonso. Then we have Xamarin. So Don, this is maybe something you've been working on recently, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a position at Microsoft Research, but I'm spending 2 years working with the Microsoft Mobile Tools team, which Xamarin is part of that team, the Xamarin stack, and working on both a whole range of core F# issues, language design improvements, all the usual things that I've been working on, and also working on improving F# in the context of Xamarin programming. And I did manage to see a version of Jim's talk at F# Exchange, and it's great. He's a really good communicator. I really encourage you to use that. Mobile programming has its great moments, its frustrating moments. It's a different kind of platform to develop for, but I absolutely loving the combination of Xamarin and F#, and I believe we're making some wonderful progress. And part of that is towards bringing some of the ideas, again, this thing about sharing ideas, some of the ideas from React and React Native programming and Elmish programming in Fable, and bringing those to bear in the context of Xamarin. And if you're following the conversations on Twitter, you'll see that people, even in the C# world, even last night, are paying attention to what we're doing in the combination of Elmish and Xamarin, and really developing great new declarative model-based descriptions of user interfaces using F# and C#. And Jim's talk should be fantastic, so I highly recommend that one.
What are the next things that C# is learning from F#? Are we going to get type providers in C#? Huh?
We're actually talking about it, yeah. I think Mats and I had a very interesting conversation about this subject. I think in general, what I like about F# is that even though it's a language or just a language running on CLR, it's a very different ecosystem, right? I mean, the way people do things, the way the tool chains are hooked together, the way people think about apps is fundamentally different from how many C# developers approach their thing.
And the way they produce silly slides for their conference.
That's also very true.
Yeah, it's also very specific.
I think, I mean, every conference I go to, I mean, as I said, I'm not an F-sharp guy, but I usually end up in at least 1 or 2 F-sharp talks. And it's always interesting to see how people approach it there. And it's very interesting to generally see, like, what can we do, you know, in V+++++, right? Because usually, like, I think on the functional side, like, people over the last 30 years have done things that now slowly become mainstream in programming languages, right? So it is a fair statement to say that F-sharp is kind of ahead of some things. We probably go down a slightly different route here and there to actually make it more, I guess, native or familiar to, you know, imperative O style development.
Idiomatic.
But yeah, in the end, like, I mean, you know, type providers as a feature, which is all about, you know, tying the tool time, I guess, more to runtime and allow more the dynamicity to, you know, explore stuff, I think is something that, you know, C# developers would love to have as well.
Well, for now they can have it if they switch to the F-sharp button in their editors.
No need to wait.
Exactly.
Let's switch the icons in all the tools, and then that will get them confused. All right. So, who do we have next? We have Evelina talking about statistics. Evelina is actually here in person, so we'll see her live in the studio later on. I guess we can't really sort of talk about everything, so I'll run through it quickly. We'll have Odi, who's joining us from Lagos, Nigeria, and he'll be talking about his amazing story where sort of he started learning F-sharp, and I think last year he made his first contribution to the F-sharp compiler. So that's quite a leap there.
Impressive.
I think, Lena, you were looking forward to Gina's talk, right?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Gina's talk about distributed tracing and lessons learned when implementing the system in F-sharp, because I think there are a lot of examples of how F-sharp is applied to real-world projects, but I really like to see more distributed system examples. So I'm super excited about this talk.
You're our distributed system wizard. Right, so then we have Vincent, and that's a talk I'm really looking forward to myself, because I've met Vincent when I was doing training for Genetec, which is where he works in Montreal. It was minus 40 Celsius degrees. So I don't know what that's in Fahrenheit, but it was freezing. I almost froze to death. I didn't, but they have a really interesting story because they've been using F-sharp for a long time on a fairly large team. And so he's going to be talking about some of the pragmatic decisions that sort of you do when you want to write large system with lots of diverse people. We'll be chatting with Edgar Sanchez, joining us from Quito in Ecuador. Did I get it right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. We'll have to check.
We'll find out.
He's been doing some fun work with Microsoft Azure Cognitive Services. And then, of course, we will have quantum computing. There has to be at least one mind-blowing talk in every fsharpConf. Last time we had a talk on building the Abu Dhabi Louvre Museum. This time
That was
we're
amazing.
leaping all the way forward into quantum computing with John Azaria. And then we'll get back to business with a SAFE stack. So SAFE is who knows something about SAFE? Philip knows something about SAFE. What is SAFE?
SAFE. It's acronym-driven development. No, I'm kidding. It's a beautiful acronym that basically it sort of encompasses sort of like this
Super
pluggable,
awesome, fabulous.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so
something.
it's sort of like, okay, you want to do end-to-end F-sharp, like full stack F-sharp. Well, there's multiple technology options, and they sort of the F-sharp community who worked on SAFE to sort of assemble it said, okay, we're going to sort of put together a framework of sorts where there's sort of defaults for specific technologies, but at each point, like on the server technology or the back end or the front end or a particular UI library or something like that, you could pick and choose a specific one that you want, and then they have multiple sample apps that use different combinations of those technologies so that you can see what they actually look like.
That's SAFE. And then we'll have Reed Copsey coming here to talk about F-sharp Foundation. Don, do you know something about the F-sharp Foundation? What is this monster?
Oh, it's not a monster. It's an absolutely great thing. That the community is entirely community-led, community-run. Yeah, the board is voted in by the community, and I think very representative across the community as well. And well, Reed is the person to ask. He's going to be able to answer all your questions. And I'm a huge supporter of what the F-sharp Software Foundation is doing, and all the hard work being put in by the board and the way that they're also helping to manage some very core F-sharp assets and make sure that those things run smoothly, that there are great places for the F-sharp community to meet online. And I think they're doing a great job.
Yeah, so Reed is actually, I think he's the, what is it, Chief Executive, Chief Vice President or something of the
Chief
F-sharp.
Super duper executive director.
Yeah, we tried to come up with a less pretentious title for this when we were setting up the F-sharp Foundation. It's a US entity, so it has to be boss of But he's the person doing a lot of the management work to keep F-sharp Foundation running. Another important thing here is that we will actually have F-sharp board elections coming up pretty soon. So if people want to get involved and have some vision for taking F-sharp Foundation further, that's what you can keep an eye on, and we'll chat with Reed about that more later on. And then we will have a bit of foom.
Yes. Yeah. So this is just like a very side project that I do in my own time, trying to use F-sharp in certain ways to solve very specific problems, to see like where the pros and the cons are in that. And hopefully I'll be able to give you some insight of when to use actually functional programming and object programming to solve certain problems.
Epic. And Tanner will be joining us as well to talk about hardware intrinsics.
Yes.
I don't know what hardware is. That always scared me. I'm a functional programmer. I like my lambda calculus.
You will learn it today.
All right, sounds good. And we'll wrap up with Q&A with the F-sharp team represented by Philip and Will.
Yep, and Kevin Ransom is actually out on vacation with his daughter right now, and so he will not be joining us.
I think he's just been trying to avoid us.
I think it's just, I think he knew that you were coming and he got scared.
Yeah.
Because you're so intimidating.
Yeah, well, he always wants me to fix some things in open source libraries I don't contribute to.
But you can always ask him a bunch of questions on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin is actually a super nice guy, even though he's trying to avoid us. Cool. So that's the program. And one more important thing, we do have Twitter. So we have @fsharpconf, and you can join us there, follow what's going on. We also do have #fsharpconf hashtag. So if you have some questions and you prefer Twitter, then you can ask there. We see it right here. We also have an fsharpconf channel on the F-sharp Foundation Slack. So if you're F-sharp Foundation member, you will have access. If no, you can go to fsharp.org, get an access, and we'll generate an invite for you. And there's an fsharpconf 2018 channel, so you can post your questions there. And finally, on the Channel 9 page, you can also post questions. There's some text box, probably. I haven't actually seen how it works. But someone has already figured it out. So we have a question here from Sean asking what will replace Suave in the future. I think
the answer is not really anything. And there are other alternatives to Suave, and kind
we'll
of
hear about them.
Yeah, well, and the idea is that you kind of pick what you want. If Suave is like, so for example, there's Suave and Giraffe, which have a very similar programming model. And so the differences there are a bit more nuanced, but it's if the particular abstractions for Suave are things that you like more than the particular abstractions for Giraffe, then you should totally go with that. And that's just, at least that's the way I tend to think about it. There's multiple web server technologies out there. You should pick the one that you prefer based on not only your own needs, but your own desires.
Based on what Hint tells you later on.
Yes, exactly, based on what Hint tells you.
I agree. I think there's no replacing, and F-sharp always has sort of diversity of technologies. Mm-hmm. So you can pick whatever suits you, and we'll try to help you find what that is. Another question from Andre is, where can I get an F-sharp t-shirt?
We can ask Philip and Will.
I don't know if I'm the best person
I don't
to
really know
ask.
this answer either. I think there's a Spreadshirt thing.
I actually remember a few years ago there was a thing where you submitted Xamarin application and they sent you a t-shirt.
Yes.
But I'm not sure if it's
No,
still
they're not. I don't think so.
I think Will can show you the results of that. Go on, Will, show it.
Yeah.
Are you suggesting people email Will to get his t-shirt?
Oh my gosh.
No, he's got a t-shirt on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a one-off copy. And Philip.
Attend Open
I
F-sharp.
have my Open F Sharp t-shirt.
Yeah.
So if you want to travel to San Francisco later this year, and attend a really fantastic conference ran by Matthias and a few others from the Matthias, Heen, and I think Ricardo and a few others. They put together an amazing conference, first of all, with really good coffee. So if you're a coffee snob like me, then that's totally the one to go to. And they also have cool shirts. So, and it's in purple, which is objectively the best color. So
The location was just fabulous last year.
And apparently they had some so-so talks as well. Right?
talks were incredible.
Yeah, Thomas, I did want to, if you could, at some point, maybe if you have time now or later on, bring up the websites both for Open F Sharp 2018. You can talk about that one. And also a big plug for F Sharp Exchange next year here in London. So we can get early bird tickets to that already.
So that will be 19, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is here. All right, so I have the page for Open F Sharp online. Open F Sharp starts in 163 days. Yeah, is that right? Could be right.
Yep.
It's on 26th and 28th September. I'll make it bigger. And I think right now it's still sort of in the planning, but you can get your tickets already. Here's all the important things. San Francisco, 26th to 28th September. There will be one-day workshops or half-a-day workshops and two-day conference. And you can get limited number of 150 seats, so be quick.
Sold out last year, so we're hoping to sell out again this year too.
And Don also mentioned F Sharp Exchange in 2019. Is it in April?
It is in April, that's right.
Yep, it's another great conference.
So this is coming up in April 2019.
Yes.
Assuming we will still be alive and stuff. It's always surprising with these sort of things in the future, you don't know. You sign up for it and then like the day before I get a notification saying you're speaking at the conference. So this is happening where Don is sitting right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you should get a ticket. You should get a ticket right now because it will get more expensive as time goes. So
They're
now
really
there's
cheap right now. So
Yeah,
really
yeah.
recommend it.
Yep.
All right. Anything else, Don?
Those are the things I was covering. I think we should reserve a special prize or mention to the first person who tells us they're watching from the Asian or Australian time zones, because I'm aware that it's already past midnight, I believe, in those time zones. And so if we've got some people watching from there, then let us know, shout out, and we'll call you out and really welcome and thanks for getting up early or staying up late. And we'll probably get a few more joining us from that time zone as things go on. And perhaps, Thomas, you could tell us, will the talks be recorded and will they be available online?
Yes, and yes.
Okay.
So the talks will be recorded and will be available online. And we'll post the links to fsharpconf.com. We'll also, they will be on Channel 9 as usual. And if you want to see how that might look, then we do have the recordings from the previous years as well. I think one thing that I'm really liking about the current program is that we actually don't have that much overlap in the speakers. So 2 years ago, we had quite a different set of talks, quite different set of speakers. And that's a nice thing about doing this online because we can get people from all over the world.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, as you mentioned with the time zones, we will be sort of starting with people from Asia, Europe, and then moving on to the US so that people don't have to do their talks at 4 a.m.
Yeah. And Thomas, one last thing I'd like to say before my time ends is a huge thank you to the people of Channel 9. Now, I know Channel 9 has been incredible at serving the developer community over the last 8 years, and they're really well recognized in Microsoft for doing that. And I know they also all the time thinking about how they not serve not just the developer community, but lots of other technical sides of Microsoft's customer interaction. And I think it's absolutely fantastic. They're open their doors for doing fsharpConf and to continue to really work well with these grassroots developer communities. And big thank you to Channel 9.
Yeah, they heard you right now, so it's really awesome to host such a great event as fsharpConf.
And I have to say thank you from myself extra specially, because it's been awesome setting this up, and it's sort of second edition we're doing. First time we run it with Seth and with Golnaz, and this time we're running it with Lena helping us, and Golnaz back doing all the hard work on the recordings for you in the studio over there. Thank you. And thanks also to Tim, who, what was his surname?
Tim Hero.
Who made this all possible by sort of giving us the space to do whatever crazy things we might be doing in the studio. So thank you, Tim. You're a brave man.
Okay, things are getting more noisy on my end, so I'll say bye-bye now, and I look forward to the first talk coming up in just a few minutes.
All right.
Thank you,
Don.
Okay.
Take care, Don.
Thanks, everyone.
See you, Don.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. So that was done. That was done from London, and
We have a talk coming up about concurrent programming with F#.
I'm curious what that means. That means like two people typing on a computer separately,
It might mean
right?
many
It could
things.
be more than just two people.
It could be more.
Great. It could be anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they don't have to come in at the same time, so it's not, concurrency and parallelism, not the same thing. One could be typing, then 3 more come in, and then 5 leave somehow.
I feel like you can talk about it for 2 hours.
I think I'm happy that we will have someone more skilled at explaining what concurrency means than Philip. So that will be great, starting in 2 minutes. And I think we've answered all the questions from Channel 9. Do we have any questions here? Someone's watching us from their hotel room with a working internet. That's great.
Love it.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often. And someone's thanking Channel 9.
Awesome.
That's great. And people are already booking tickets for all the things we mentioned.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, there we go. I did want to say something else, but I forgot what it was. We'll find out. Was it something important? No, people can ask questions. We covered that.
Yes.
Is there anything else? Recordings will be online.
Fancy T-shirts.
Fancy T-shirts.
You can get them.
Coffee. No.
I can get coffee for everybody.
All right, let's get coffee. No. So thanks for joining us, and we'll be starting in a minute with the talk from Tamish Vendan, joining us from India. So it's pretty late for him there. Oh, the thing I wanted to mention was that there's also a couple of user groups who are watching us online with pizza and beers. This works pretty well if you're in Europe, because we're starting at 4:30 or 5:30. And maybe works not so great if you're in the States, unless you want to have beer and pizza at 8:30.
I mean, it's a good excuse to drink beer. I don't
I
think
was about to
it's-
say, I don't see what the problem is.
I'm from the Czech Republic, so I think for us it's just a continuous supply. You don't differentiate.
Hey, it's after 4 somewhere, so
Yeah, that's
all
right.
it takes.
So it's definitely called the Czech Republic, right?
Well, we've got renamed to Czechia,
Uh-huh.
but
Okay. Just wanted
let's
to
not
check.
talk about politics.
Yeah.
I was told I shouldn't make silly jokes about politics. So let's get started. If you're watching us somewhere, send a picture to Twitter or to the Slack channel, and let's call Tamish for the next talk.